Harold Johnson had served his country with honor. A black veteran, his years in uniform were marked with sacrifice, discipline, and unwavering loyalty to a nation that had not always shown him the same respect in return. On this evening, he walked into a small-town diner wearing his well-worn cap embroidered with the words, Vietnam Veteran. To the casual eye, he was just another older man seeking a quiet meal, but beneath his calm exterior lived decades of memories, some filled with brotherhood, others with the heavy silence of injustice. He slid into a booth near the window, the warm hum of conversations and clinking silverware surrounding him like a faint reminder of the normalcy he had often longed for during his time overseas. When the waitress approached, Harold offered a polite smile. Her name tag read Clara, and though her tone was pleasant, there was a flicker of hesitation in her eyes. He ordered a steak, medium rare, his treat to himself after a long week. As she jotted it down, she glanced around the room, as though weighing a decision. Then, leaning slightly closer, her voice dropped low, carrying words that struck harder than he could have imagined. Be careful what you order, she whispered. Not everyone here serves people like you the same way. For a moment, Harold froze. His hand tightened around the edge of the table, the simple comfort of anticipation turning into a chill of suspicion. He searched Clara's eyes, trying to decipher whether this was kindness, warning, or cruelty disguised as she straightened quickly, masking her expression with a professional smile, then walked back toward the kitchen as though nothing had been said. Harold sat in silence, his mind unraveling her words. Not everyone here serves people like you the same way. The weight of that phrase echoed through his chest, reminding him of the countless times in his life when dignity had been questioned, when something as basic as a meal or a seat had been denied because of the color of his skin. His service uniform, his medals, his loyalty, none of it had ever shielded him from the shadow of discrimination. Around him, laughter and small talk filled the diner, but Harold felt every sound blur. Every clink of glass sharpened into a reminder of the danger that might be simmering beneath ordinary routines. Harold considered leaving. Pride told him to stand, to walk out before anyone had the chance to taint his dignity further. But another voice, quieter and deeper, urged him to remain. He had not survived years of war, both abroad and at home, only to retreat from a simple dinner. He chose. When Clara returned, she brought not the steak he had ordered, but a small plate of bread and a fresh glass of water. She placed them down carefully, and, once again leaning in, murmured, I shouldn't say more, but I don't trust the cook tonight. Her eyes flicked toward the kitchen doors, where the faint shadow of a man moved back and forth. Harold's stomach tightened. It wasn't paranoia, it was protection. Clara's warning confirmed that malice might indeed be waiting behind those swinging doors. For Harold, the situation was no longer about a meal. It was about the silent battles black men and women fought daily, the unseen dangers in places meant for rest, the unspoken choices between confrontation and survival. His chest rose with a steady breath, the soldier in him reawakening. This was no battlefield, but the stakes felt just as personal. Summoning his composure, Harold motioned for Clara to sit, if only for a second. She hesitated, then slid discreetly into the booth across. Why tell me? He asked quietly, his voice steady but edged with pain. Clara lowered her gaze, her hands wringing nervously. Because I've seen it before, she admitted. People laughed about what they sent out of that kitchen. I couldn't watch it happen again, not to someone who's clearly given so much. Her words carried both fear and courage, a quiet rebellion against the cruelty she had witnessed. Harold studied her face, recognizing the risk she had taken. In that moment, he felt both anger and gratitude. Anger that such warnings were even necessary, gratitude that someone still chose truth over silence. He pushed the plate of bread aside. I fought for this country so people could sit down and eat without fear, he said firmly, his voice low but resolute. I won't let anyone take that from me. Clara's eyes welled with emotion, and for a brief second, the hum of the diner faded, leaving only the gravity of shared understanding between two unlikely allies, a veteran and a waitress, bound by conscience. Harold stood and adjusted his cap, the gold-stitched word veteran catching the dim light. Walking toward the counter, he left his untouched table behind. With each step, he carried not just his own dignity, but the weight of generations before him who had been denied simple acts of humanity. He placed a few bills on the counter, not for the steak he never received, but for the courage Clara had shown. Meeting her eyes one last time, he said, Thank you, you did right. Then he walked out into the night, the cool air filling his lungs like freedom reclaimed. Behind him, the diner buzzed on, unaware of the quiet battle that had just unfolded. For Harold, the moment was more than a ruined meal. It was another chapter in a lifetime of resilience, a reminder that injustice hides in the smallest corners, and that dignity must be defended even in silence. His footsteps echoed down the street, steady, unbroken. He was more than a customer, more than a black man in a diner. He was a veteran, a survivor, a symbol of courage in the face of cruelty. And his story, like so many others, deserve to be hurt?